Alright, welcome everyone. This is a legit kitchen sink episode today because there's a lot going on in the kitchen sink. My wife's gone full Japanese. She's making some koya tofu. It's Buddhist monk food. Not many people know about this dish, but it's one of my favorites. It's like a simmered vegetable tofu dish. Well, mostly tofu and some like, what are those fish cake things called? Oh, not fish cake, like the tofu cake things called? Gammodoki. It's really yummy. And yeah, it's got like dashi, sugar, tsuyu, which is like a concentrated dashi broth with some sugar and mirin. And you just simmer all these things together and it's delicious with rice. We also got miso soup going in the back, a bunch of vegetables and tofu in there. I'm gonna add some miso later. I can do an episode on that if you like later. Maybe you can tell me if it's recording or not. I think I turned it off.
It's recording.
I thought I pushed the off button. Okay, but today I'm gonna focus on a simmered eggplant dish. What's it called in Japanese, Amy?
I forgot. Nasu no agehitashi?
Yeah, something. It's like in the literal translation is like she said it was like an immersed eggplant dish. But I'm just gonna call it a simmered eggplant dish with some dashi and ginger. It's nibitashi, which means immersed.
Yeah,
okay. So yeah, it's a nice summertime dish. It can be eaten warm or cold. It's really nice cold because the flavors get absorbed into the eggplant. But it can be eaten warm as well. Anyways, what I've done here is I cut up some eggplant, kind of like these half moon shapes. You can cut it however you like. I'd say keep it on the larger side. I've salted it heavily for about 10-15 minutes. I just sprinkle maybe like a tablespoon of salt or a couple tablespoons for about 4 kind of those long Japanese style or Asian style eggplants. And the reason you want to salt your eggplant is because eggplant has a lot of water content, and we're going to be frying it. And whenever you're frying things, or like pan frying, if there's too much water, you're not going to be able to like fry it properly. You're just going to kind of be drawing out the water as you're frying. It's going to simmer rather than fry, and what we really want to do is fry. So it's been kind of sitting here in salt for about 15 minutes. Through the process of osmosis, a lot of the water content has been drawn out, so I'm just going to rinse it off to get some of that excess salt off. Another way I've seen people do this is heavily salted water, and I mean heavily. For maybe like a couple cups of water, you want to put like half a cup of salt. That also does the same thing. I was reading online, people used to salt their eggplant to draw out the bitterness, but with the type of eggplant we have these days, the way that it's been bred, there's very little bitterness left. I mean, sometimes you get a hint of it, but compared to the older eggplant, or maybe like Italian eggplant, there's far less bitterness. So the salt really doesn't do too much for the bitterness because there's not a whole lot. It's for this particular dish, it's mostly for the frying process to get rid of some of the salt in the eggplant. Alright, so I'm gonna get my wok going. I'm using a wok. You can use a frying pan as well. I'm gonna get it, as usual when we're cooking with a wok, really high heat to begin with, especially to maintain that heat, and then you can slowly start adjusting your heat. But at the beginning, high heat. Let's see, miso soup. Okay, so getting my fry pan going. Seasonings are gonna be ginger. Your green onion is for your garnish, so seasonings ginger. This is tsuyu. There's many different types, but essentially it's just a concentrated dashi broth with sugar, soy, mirin. So you can either do dashi with soy, mirin, salt, or you can just do tsuyu with some whatever. A lot of these dishes, I mean, kind of the philosophy of kitchen sink cooking is a lot of it is to taste. So you can adjust the seasonings as you see fit, but yeah, dashi, mirin, soy, salt, those are kind of like the basics of Japanese cooking seasonings. It's actually one way to remember is in Japanese writing, There's 5 letters: sa, shi, su, se, so. and no, sashitsu so, which stands for, which are the five S letters, and you can also use them to remember the seasoning. So sa being sugar, tsu being tsuyu, sashitsu se so, se is shoyu, su is vinegar, and so is miso. So those are the five kind of basic seasonings of Japanese cooking, and you see them in almost every Japanese dish in some sort of combination. Alright, so my wok's getting nice and hot. I'm going to use a considerable amount of oil, and then I'm going to kind of use a paper towel to take some of it out once the eggplant's been fried. So I'm using probably like about 5 or 6 tablespoons, which seems like a lot, but you need that much to fry it properly in the wok. And then, like I said, I'll take some of it out. So I'm gonna get it nice and hot. You definitely don't want to get it cool. We're gonna see some splattering, so do this carefully. I'm gonna use a pair of tongs for this. These ones. So nice and hot. Distribute your eggplant. This is maybe a little too much eggplant for this size of a wok or fry pan. Probably maybe like 30% less, just so everything comes in contact with the oil, but it'll still work out. So as you can see, my wok temperature has dropped kind of drastically. I need to get it back up to temperature. It's on max right now. It's also tough with an electric stove. I think I mentioned that in another video. Gas stoves work a lot better for this type of wok cooking. But frying it like this will also keep your eggplant nice and purple as well. You can talk, it's okay. Oh, I'll add that. Should I add that now? 'Cause, yeah, I guess I'll add the ginger too. So my wife said I should add this. I was gonna add it after I take some of the oil out, but I'll add it now because we're gonna season the oil with it too. I should have added it actually with the oil at the beginning, but it's okay. We're gonna be frying it together, so it's not that big a deal. So the ginger is kind of one of the main. There's not too much ginger in Japanese cooking, but here and there you see it. Garlic as well, you don't see it too often either. Maybe ginger a bit more often, but so as you can see, it's frying nicely. The color's nice and bright. In Chinese cooking, when you see them cooking like eggplant, they'll actually deep fry the eggplant first for a couple minutes, and then they'll take out the eggplant, get rid of some of the oil, and then do their stir fry after. Do you think this is good enough, Amy, for frying? I think it's been frying a couple minutes. Probably enough, no? Yeah. Okay, so now what I'll do, so get a paper towel, turn the heat down a bit, kind of bunch it up with my tongs, tilt back and take out a lot of the oil. I probably just want a little bit left in there. Probably gonna need one more. I need a plate or something. One more paper towel. Yeah, you don't want a whole lot left in there. So yeah, I'm probably down to about a tablespoon of oil now. Okay, So Amy, how much? I'm gonna add tsuyu first. Yeah.
Oh, you're not getting in a bowl, huh?
No, I'm just gonna add it straight to the thing.
No, tsuyu.
Like I'm gonna add like 2 tablespoons about. Tsuyu. Water. Maybe like I'd say about half a cup. Yeah, just until it kind of like it's sitting there. You don't want to have too much. And some mirin and shoyu. So like I said, tsuyu already has all these things, but you can add a bit more to your taste. I'd say maybe a tablespoon of mirin. My wife was saying earlier that the ratio of salt to sugar should be 1 sugar to 5 salt. So it should be more on the salt.
Shoyu.
Oh, shoyu, which is salty. So it should be more towards the shoyu is soy sauce. Sorry, soy. It should be more leaning more towards the soy salty side than the sweet side. But there should definitely be a hint of sweetness in there. I think maybe like half a tablespoon to a tablespoon of shoyu. This is a lot of eggplant. So I'm adding quite a few seasonings. So as this simmers for maybe the next 5 minutes, it's gonna evaporate and reduce, and it's gonna get absorbed. The eggplant's gonna absorb a lot of these flavors, and it's gonna get really, really delicious. A lot of Japanese dishes use this kind of like simmering method for their vegetables. It's called nimono, even though this is not nimono. But like you simmer like a lot of root vegetables like daikon and taro, eggplant often, pumpkin. They simmer it in this like dashi tsuyu broth for like anywhere from like half an hour to a couple hours. And then often it's cooled down and eaten cold. And a lot of those flavors get soaked into the vegetables and they become really delicious. So it's kind of doing the same thing, except with the ginger dashi broth. Okay, this is probably gonna take 5-6 minutes, so I'm gonna stop the video and come back then. Apparently I wasn't recording, but so I'm gonna just do this handheld. So anyways, it was done before I took it out of the wok. It took about 6-7 minutes. The flavors had concentrated quite considerably and reduced. The broth had reduced, so it's a bit thicker. I just served it in this Pyrex dish, and I garnished it with some green onion. Here I'll do a quick taste test. As you can see, it's quite soft and creamy. The broth is quite concentrated. You should have like a pretty strong kind of sweet and soy, salty, savory flavor. Really delicious. Really nice summer dish. You can, as mentioned, you can eat it cold as well. Super easy to make. So yeah, enjoy. Give it a shot.